What's going on? He's not here, but he actually did a suggestion 2 months ago. Let's see what he said. Consider putting the podcast and daily wrap on a different channel, maybe even a new one. It seems like the podcast and the stream that follows are usually two distinct different things. It might be worthwhile to split those up, but honestly, I'm not sure what the net benefit would be aside from optimizing the way your content is organized, just something I thought I would mention. There is a reply. I'm just curious. A year ago, I think this would have been a solid idea. However, YouTube now separates podcasts into their own category on the channel under the podcast tab. If he or his editors or another third party wanted to do a clips channel for his podcast, that would make sense, being on a separate channel, though. I feel that would make the 1.5-hour-long podcast more digestible and appeal to a new audience who likes to watch 2 to 5 minute clips. It should be somewhat easy to do since there are timestamps to various topics for his podcasts now. That's right. Now, here's the thing. All of this stuff has kind of happened, but not really fully how they're suggesting, okay? So, number one, my podcast is here every day in the morning, right? Right before I do a gameplay session, okay? It is separate from the rest of the stream. That's correct. It almost feels like I'm doing 2 separate streams. In reality, I am. I'm doing 2 completely different kinds of content. This podcast actually began back in the day, not as a podcast, but as a pre-stream, where I would just talk with my audience for like 20, 30 minutes before we got to gameplay. What ended up happening was people liked it more and more. They wanted to hear about my schedule. They wanted to do Q&A. And as that evolved, the idea was, we'll just make it a formal podcast so that way people won't complain that the pre-stream's too long, right? So that's what we've done. And quite honestly, I'm glad we did that, because some days the podcast actually garners more attention and more engagement and more support than the game I'm playing. What's happening is, over time, I'm changing myself from being the guy who plays games to, oh, DSP, he's that guy that does all kinds of content. He's a podcaster, he's a gamer, he does interviews, he does appearances, he does all this stuff. And that's good. That's what I've always wanted. I wanted to diversify because I knew as I got older, I couldn't just sit here playing games all day, every day, forever. It wasn't going to last, right? So that's excellent that this is happening, okay? But the idea that I should have a separate channel for it, it both works and it doesn't work, okay? Here's why it would work. Because you're absolutely right. Separating the podcast out from the gameplay means that you know exactly where to go to watch the podcast and to get the information about it, and it doesn't get hampered down or lost in the shuffle of a bunch of uploads every day. This channel has a ton of uploads every day. You've got the podcast, you've got gameplay videos, you've got the daily wrap, and now you've got highlights, which we're going to talk about in a moment, because that's what OP Boone was referencing. So, with all of that, it may be hard to sift through. However, OP Boone has a point. Now, YouTube auto-separates podcasts. Right now, you can just go to the podcast tab of this channel to check out all of the podcasts and play them all in order. If you're a YouTube Premium subscriber, you get YouTube Music for free. And on YouTube Music, you can subscribe to podcasts just as if you had Spotify or iTunes or whatever, and you can get the podcast delivered to you daily. So you don't even have to do any work. You don't have to worry about, oh no, the channel's flooded with content. You can just subscribe and get it delivered every day like clockwork. And I believe that this channel has several different podcasts. I think that one is the Level 1 podcast. One is the Daily Wrap. Here, I'm going to click on it right now. Podcast. Yep, there's the Daily Wrap and there's the Level 1 podcast. There's also Ask the King, but that is outdated because I don't do it anymore. There's also some of the DSP React videos that I did on this channel for a while, but then I moved them over to the DSP React channel, so there's only like 19 of those. And then there's all of the pre-stream archives that lasted from like August 2015 until I turned this into the Level 1 podcast. That's almost 2,000 videos. So that's what's separated, okay? But yeah, you can watch that in podcast delivery form right now on this channel just by going to the podcast tab. That's how it works on YouTube now. So yeah, like definitely check it out that way, all right? Now, clips and highlights I'm doing it every day now. That was a great suggestion by everyone saying, hey, can you have someone clip it out or do highlights? And I do that now. Anything that I feel is the most important piece of content, I'm purposefully separating it so that way you can actually get it in a deliverable fashion. For example, yesterday I broke out the fact that I'm going to be on this Cultaholic show, Desert Island Graps, this coming Wednesday. I also highlighted the funny moment in WWE Champions where there was the glitch where the guy got all deformed, right? You know, a few days ago, I highlighted the fact that I own the rights to the Philomania logo. I did everything to qualify to be able to use them for commercial purposes. And I proved that everything my detractors were saying was literally a lie because they're a bunch of disingenuous, dishonest pieces of human feces who just want to make shit up to try to fucking hassle me as much as they can. And every day I do this, right? And I do these highlights and people love them. Sometimes the highlights are the most viewed content on the channel. They get more views than the podcast itself. They get more views than the gameplay I do that day. So the highlights are working tremendously, okay? Now, the highlights are all in one playlist. All you got to do is follow this one DSP highlights playlist, and you'll get all the important stuff from the channel in that highlights playlist every day. So I suggest that you keep an eye on that one. I don't know if you can subscribe to a certain playlist or whatever, but definitely keep an eye. That's what you want to follow. Now, the one suggestion that is not being followed through here is making a new channel. All right? Now, here's the thing. I fully admit, if I did a DSP Clips channel, all right, or if I did a DSP highlights, you know, and it could be both from the podcast and gameplay, that could work because then people would just subscribe to the channel, right? And then they would know they'd be in on everything. If they want the raw gameplay and stuff, come to DSP Gaming. If you just want the clips, go to the clips channel. But here's the problem, all right? YouTube has ridiculous criteria for how you can qualify to monetize a channel. So right now, if I created a brand new channel from nothing, and I had DSP Clips, DSP Clips It. That's probably what I would call it, DSP Clips It. And I'd even do an intro like that. I'd DSP Clips It, DSP Clips It. And I, you know, just like I used to do with DSP Tries It, right? That would be awesome. But here's the problem. You need a certain amount of subscribers, thousands of them, okay? You need a certain amount of watch hours, tons of it. To give you some perspective here, earlier this year, I wanted to rebrand my old KO Gaming channel as DSP Throwback, okay? And it took over a month, roughly, just about a month, of people going to the channel and watching the content I was putting up on it for it to qualify for the partner program. But it also had pre-installed subscribers from when the channel had been KO Gaming. It had tens of thousands of subscribers. I'm trying to remember, actually, how many subscribers the channel has. It already has 22,000 subscribers, and I think when I started, it was like 18,000. So it got like 4,000 new subscribers since I started working with the channel, but it was already there. You understand? It was like no work. It was already there. Now imagine me doing a channel from scratch. DSP Clips It, right? And this channel is getting all my attention because, as I said, on certain days, the clips on my YouTube, my DSP Gaming channel, get more views than all the other content on the channel, right? So imagine now everyone stops watching content on DSP Gaming because they go to watch the clips only on the DSP Clips It channel, but the channel's not monetized yet because I have to get a certain amount of subscribers, a certain amount of viewers, a certain amount of hours watched in order to qualify it for the partner program. So now I'm working my ass off on this channel, doing clips for it, and I'm making no money on it. In the meantime, I'm losing money on DSP Gaming because people aren't watching DSP Gaming. They're just watching the clips channel. Do you see how this is shooting myself in the foot? Like, if I were a giant YouTuber, and immediately I could open any YouTube channel and I could get 40,000 subscribers, and I could be bringing in 10,000 views a day on that channel, this would work. But the problem is I'm not a big guy. I'm a small guy. I'm a small-time YouTuber. I really am. Sorry. I know a lot of people are like, you're not small. I am a small-time guy. I get big-time support, but I am a small-time guy. You have to accept this, okay? I don't have the flexibility to just open a new channel that overnight can get monetized. It would likely take me months to get a clips channel monetized, in which case, for 3 months, I'm just going to have a big dip in my income to set up a separate channel. I don't think so. Now, here's the thing. Long term, perhaps it'll work. Let's give it some time. This channel is seeing growth. I am getting more viewers, more subscribers, more support. Let's see what happens. Let's ride this out. I actually like the idea of a clips channel, an official clips channel from me, official clips. That's the highlights you watch every day. Makes sense. I actually really like the idea. And quite frankly, with the whole DSP throwback idea, the idea for DSP Throwback is to get all of the playthroughs that have been missing from the internet remastered for a modern audience so you can watch them for posterity purposes. We're almost done with that, okay? We have the rest of Red Dead Redemption Undead Nightmare. We have a few like lost clips, lost playthroughs, and some travel vlogs and things. Once that's up, I've pretty much archived all the stuff that was missing, and the only stuff left to do on the Throwback channel would be playthroughs that never have been in their entirety because of copyright issues. For example, one of the playthroughs we're currently doing on this channel is Grand Theft Auto Vice City, and the reason we're doing it is because the original Vice City playthrough was destroyed by the music. YouTube just edited and blocked a whole ton of videos because of the music in it. So once those kind of projects are done, all right, it may be that I have my editors kind of freed up to do more work and not have to worry about this channel anymore. And this channel could just be a channel we go to once a week to do retro replay, and that's it. And then maybe we could do a clips channel, and every day they could go through and find some highlights and put it on the channel. And it's not so much more work for me. Right now, it's a lot of extra work for me to be clipping a few things a day and getting them on DSPGaming. Maybe I could actually have the editors work on that instead. I think, honestly, the clip stuff would be more meaningful at this point. The problem is, I'm in the midst of the Throwback project. I'm not just going to dump it right in the middle of doing it. I want to preserve my work. We still have Undead Nightmare, a few more small things, and I would say the Grand Theft Auto playthroughs. Those are like the essential ones. Then after that, maybe we alleviate the workload on DSP Throwback to start working full-time on a clips channel. Okay? So I like the suggestion. I think the suggestion is very sound. This is a good one. Game Boy, this was an absolutely great suggestion. And of course, OP Boone's response also was great. I'm already doing this. I'm already clipping, and I already have all my podcasts separated into a formal playlist. However, the idea of a channel where it's like a clips and highlights channel is a great idea, and I think I may implement that long term.